I'm Jean Schumacher, founder of Simply Plant Based, where I have a lot of programs to help you to change your health destiny, including the Plant Based Academy, which provides support, resources, weekly coaching classes, and of course, recipes. And then there's the Pregnancy Advantage to help women get their bodies pregnant ready, especially if you're having trouble conceiving. Today, I have the pleasure and privilege of meeting with Mary Montequin, who has had an amazing journey. So, Mary, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me here today.
Oh, happy to be here.
Well, share with us your journey, your story of how you realized that plant-based living is where it's at.
I had like a great, perfect size 7 body, in high school and didn't really worry about what I was eating. I was a teenager, ate like a teenager. And then when I went to college, I put on some weight. I don't know what is it, freshman 5, now it's 15 or something. So somewhere in between those two. At 23, I had surgery. I have a cyst on the right side of my brain, and it's recurring. They can't really take the whole wall out, so it kind of goes back. And so I've had surgery every 5 years. I've had 8 surgeries. So the first surgery, though, I was 23. I was also gained some weight. So I know that the fact that I was facing this surgery, I was very frightened. I wasn't really sure what that all meant. I didn't want to go into this whole chronic situation, now being told that that was never really going to go away, and also have to deal with my weight. So after surgery, in an unhealthy way, I just kind of cut everything I ate in half. I did lose weight, but I did not do it healthy. I was not feeling well, but that was kind of my roller coaster with weight. It kind of started then. I was back down to, I don't know, like 112 pounds or something. I'm 5'4". And then I gained weight with my first daughter. I have 2 children, 80 pounds, 80, and then lost like 30. And then I had my second child. And so I kept going up and would gain, I don't know, 25, 30 pounds and only lose about 5. Then, when my husband down the road a little bit, he and my children were all overweight. We kind of did that together, that journey. He came across something about juicing. I think he watched Fat, Sick, and Dying or some kind of a documentary, came to me and said, "Hey, this is the answer. We're going to juice." We did lose some weight, about 20 pounds. Yeah, we came across eating green smoothies or drinking those. And I knew that the fiber content was in there. So each time I would lose weight, I'd get a little bit of research, gain a little bit of knowledge of how to do this in a healthier way, but never really put it all together. So in 2015, a friend of mine found the Barnard Institute, and she looked fantastic. And it was just not a weight, her skin was good. She seemed to have great energy. So I asked her about that. We were then living here, and I went to the Barnard Institute and I started that program. And I just loved the way that this was all plant based and everything worked fine. But as time went on, I did learn more again about the fact that that was the best way to eat. So now I'm up to last year. And now I had gained some weight back, but each time gaining weight, I'm learning more and more about the best way to eat. We felt really good, my whole family. Last year, I started to lose my sight, and my family on my husband's side of the family have a lot of people that are diabetic, but I did not put that together. And I asked one of my sisters-in-law one day, I said, sometimes my sight is worse than other times and it kind of moves back and forth. And she said, "Oh, that's normal." So apparently, no, I didn't think so. But so I just would go to the dollar store and get several different kinds of prescriptions. And when that was happening, I put different prescriptions on until I could see better. I went to an eye doctor, explained that, and they wouldn't find it when I was there. And so they said, "Well, just come in, the next time that's happening." I did, and they would check my eyesight, but it was just coming and going so quickly that when I seemed like whenever I went in, they said, "No, everything's good. You seem to be fine. Come in again later." So the other thing that was happening around February of 2021, I had this recurring yeast infection that I never put all these symptoms together, but this was COVID. I was on Zoom, so I wasn't in front of a doctor, and they would give me the prescriptions to help me with those yeast infections, but it would come back like within a week, worse than it was in the beginning. So that brought me in to see my doctor. not the Barnard Institute. So I'm away from that. So I was also very thirsty. I had a cut on my toe that wasn't going away, getting worse. All these things that I think if I had known much about diabetes, I would have figured it out. But I finally Googled it. It said maybe diabetes. So I went to my doctor and said, how about just to rule it out, will you do a test? I went to the eye doctor again because my eyes were getting worse. It all kind of came together. They said, yeah, there's something going on. I think you need to do something. We'll, run some more tests and things.
At this point, were you plant-based?
No, no, no. I'm not plant-based at this time. I had
Okay.
fallen out of that from 2015.
Okay.
So yeah, no, no, no. I'm eating actually that afternoon when I was diagnosed with diabetes, an hour before I went to Wendy's, got a double cheeseburger, French fries, and a Dr. Pepper, the whole deal. And that's where our life was at that time. My family, myself, I was just eating sad American diet. So I go home, I get a phone call from my doctor that says, unfortunately, you do have diabetes and your A1C is 12.7. So I didn't know what that is. So at the time, I'm like, out of 100, I didn't know. So when I looked that up, I thought, oh, that's super bad, super bad. So she immediately said, I want you to take this medication and this one, and then this medication for a side effect of that one, and all kinds of things. And I thought, yeah, I can't do that. Back to when I had my first surgery, I thought I can't have two things to deal with at the same time. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified that I was going to die immediately. I'm also 301.4 pounds at this time. Now my eyesight is really bad. I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, the whole deal. So I go immediately to Barnard Institute, go on Zoom, talk to Dr. Rahman, and is blubbering, basically saying, I'm going to die. I'm so sorry. But I knew that that was where I should go.
Right.
They're so kind, brought me back, said, come on in, you're going to be fine. So I did not want to take any medication. I just wanted to see if I could do this just with food based on my research. They tested my A1C and then, said 3 months from now, we'll check it again. So my decision was I'm going to just eat plant-based. I'm not going to try and change anything other than that. So I just ate, the plant sources, no animal products. Within 3 months, my A1C went from a 12.7 to a 6.7. My eyesight, when I did go into the doctor at that time, I was legally blind. And I couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. So I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between, at my worst, legally blind. I had a declining kidney function, had to go in and have a nephrologist test me. Also wanted to put me on medication. Told him that I'm doing this way of eating. He said, great, I'll give you the 3 months as well. Within that time frame, everything went back to normal as well. So I regained my sight in 6 weeks from eating this way. Still have reading glasses, but that was where I was before. My kidney function went back to normal. My A1C went to 12 from 12.7 to a 6.7. And then within a year's time, now my A1C is a 5.6, so I'm in a normal range. My blood pressure is in a normal range. Everything is fine, and I've lost 70 pounds so far. Still have a journey to go on that, but I know that's a long story, but that's basically the weight loss part and the regaining my health back through food, just food, no medication.
Yeah. Wow, what a journey. Oh my gosh. And I'm so glad you went back to PCRM.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, and that's where I am now. Those are my doctors. And I don't like to say negative things about other doctors, but sadly, I just don't think that they're educated in knowing how to help somebody in these cases with a nutritional approach. And I wanted to go to the people that do.
It's true. I mean, most doctors do not have this background of knowledge of nutritional training. They just don't.
Yeah.
And they're not teamed up with a registered dietitian. They're not teamed up with people that can help. They get this very cursory, which it makes me crazy because it's like, why would you not understand that what goes in and on, the body, because your organs, your skin, in 26 seconds, it's in your bloodstream, anything that you put on your body. So why wouldn't they understand that? It's just
True.
crazy to me that, and I still have people, like in Plant-Based Academy, we were just having this conversation about soy. She's like, oh, no, I can't have soy because it's, cancer causing. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my doctor told me that. And I'm like, well, he needs to be educated.
Yeah, and that's a scary one, especially soy, as you said. That was
Yeah.
something that my sister had breast cancer. So, when she came to the house when I was going through this past year, she's had surgery, she's good now. But when she came into the house, I think it was making something with tofu, and she said, no, I can't have that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, please read this book and this book and this book. It was scary. It was scary for me, of course, because it's my sister. And now she's doing this. She's following what we do. And I'm so happy. Yeah.
Right. And it's hard to see, like, your family, to know that, that what's right. And then like, oh no, my doctor said this, and it's,
Right. Yeah.
you're not a doctor, how can you tell me this? And, you don't know more than my doctor. My doctor's trained. And it's like,
Sure.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
a very thin tightrope. I mean, I just think about my own personal, family as well, and how difficult it is to navigate that it's like walking a tightrope,
It really is. My in-laws are the ones that my side of the family tends to eat healthier. My in-laws are just meat, and more meat, and that's it. And then they're also the ones with the worst chronic diseases that they're dealing with medication. I'm not knocking medication. I'm just saying it's hard for me because when they were watching, I got my family on board, and together, my two children, my husband and I have lost over 240 pounds.
Wow.
Their numbers are all within normal range. So to have that happening and then having my family witnessing that and not necessarily, not, I want to say appreciating, but not necessarily recognizing that this is an alternative way to handle yourself, it's been hard for me. It's heartbreaking.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Especially, seeing somebody you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, were you always like overweight or heavy?
I was like a size 7 shoe, pants, shirt, everything in high school, and then I gained some weight when I went to college. And then I came home from college and I lost the weight eating half of everything basically, but not feeling well and not really worrying about my insides. Just my mother has she's passed, but she passed from these chronic diseases. She was obese, and I didn't want to follow that, but I didn't really know much about the medical part of everything, what happens to you physically. I just didn't want to look fat at that time. It was 20 whatever.
Wow. Well, most people don't realize that there are things that you can't easily do being overweight.
Yeah.
How did being overweight affect your life?
Uh, I don't know how it didn't actually, but it got to a point where there's like the emotional side and the physical side of weight gain, right? Or being unhealthy. And physically, I was not able to walk down the stairs. It got to a point where we have 2 floors, and it was so hard that I think my husband shared with me later that he felt like he was going to have to close off the downstairs, maybe rent it out, because I just couldn't physically go down the stairs. And I was always asking somebody to do it. I was not able to walk off our property with our dog because it was too hard. But now I've gotten to the point, of course, where I can walk. I'm walking 2 miles a day. I'm going to the pool. I'm swimming. But at that time, yeah. And I also remember the emotional parts of those things was like I sat in a chair and broke it, one Thanksgiving. So embarrassing, right? I always had a lot of negative self-talk that it was my fault. There's a lot of shame involved in that, and feeling like I brought this on myself. No one else was feeding me. Also feeling guilty about my children gaining weight because I'm the one that feeds them. So there's just so much that I couldn't do. And now I'm able to bend over and tie my shoes. And there's things that are happening so quickly that I don't even realize I couldn't do it until now I do. I dropped my keys the other day in the car, reached down, picked them up. Yeah, those things used to be so difficult for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those little, I call them non-scale victories,
Yes. Yeah.
just things that you just didn't even think about happening. And, I mean, for me, one of my biggest ones is like holding up a pair of underwear and go, wait, am I going to fit into that? I'm not going to fit into those.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
we talking about? Because I was used to wearing, you know,
Yeah.
very large pairs of underwear. And now I look at my underwear and go, there's no way I'm going to fit into that. So I think of it as every day it's the surprise of the underwear.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah. And the fact that I'm able to move through space with grace, that rhymes, but it's true. I used to bump into things or have to, decide whether I could take one path in a house that we were in or another because there's a chair pushed out, or I have leftover energy now that I didn't at the end of the day. I was exhausted during the whole day, and I enjoy eating food because I don't feel guilty about it. I know that the food that I'm putting into my body is nourishing me. I don't worry about weighing it. I don't worry about all that anxiety that I would have before. Yeah, there's no guilt or shame involved in something like that.
oh, and Weight Watchers, the points.
Yeah,
Oh man, you were just looking for ways to cheat, but I like these
absolutely.
points, and yeah, no, and plus it was not the right food either.
No,
You're
right.
still, you were still eating the other things. I mean, yeah, you could lose weight that way, but yeah, it's not sustainable because as soon as you stopped,
That's the thing. I think, there are a lot of ways to lose weight. It's just the fact that it's not sustainable. And even the fact that when I first got sick, I mean, really sick with the weight and the diabetes and everything, I was really afraid. Terrified is a better word, that I was just going to die. My heart was going to explode or something. And I wanted those 3 months to just eat this way. And just, it was so scary, such a frightening time, not being able to see and things like that. And now, like, the hard work begins because in those things, my markers of being, having diabetes and things like that, were like the immediate things that I felt like I had to fix. Now I still have weight to lose, but now the hard work begins because I'm not terrified anymore, but I'm still at a place where I know the weight is not healthy for me. But
right?
I have to really go through the emotional part of that, the having triggers, things like that, and why I'm eating the way I am, all those things that I have to now deal with, which is the things that are sustainable, the things that have to be sustainable for you to be able to eat this way forever. And plant-based diet helps with that. It's just a great thing to do.
Just circling back to the energy, think about this. You said you lost 70 pounds. I think of it this way. You were carrying 7 10-pound bowling balls. I mean, think about this. You pick up one 10-pound bowling ball and you're like, oh my God, this is so heavy. And, like to throw it down the bowling lane. You were carrying 7 of those on your body at all times.
Yeah.
And how much that really has an impact on your body.
We have a standard poodle, and I go to Costco, get those giant bags of food, and they weigh 35 pounds each. And to get that into the cart and then to get it out of the cart into the car and from the car in the house, I would never ever do that. I can't even do it now. And I realized one day I have lost 2 of those bags of food. I don't even know how I carried that around on my poor heart. It's just amazing to me that we so slowly and incrementally gain that weight and what it does on your body. Just crazy.
No, 100%. It's so true. And I know like I've gained a few more pounds back and I can already feel a difference just
Yeah,
in my, and it's a journey. It is a journey.
absolutely.
And especially as we age, we don't need as much calories, so I'm really focused more, on like limiting my food and then also, caloric density. That's a very big concept, in learning about how to
Definitely.
lose weight for sure. So, but how did you handle the cravings?
Yeah. So again, emotionally, I think the thing is, I think I first had to learn the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger, right? And so the physical hunger took a bit of time to realize, am I really hungry? I went through the whole adage of, if you're hungry, you'll eat an apple. If you're not hungry, then you're going to want something else. So I really taken the time to learn the difference between, am I physically hungry and what does that feel like? And the emotional part, because the cravings are an emotional aspect of wanting to eat. And what I had to realize is that regardless of whatever the craving was, it passes, and thought, what is really going on? Am I really hungry? And the same thing, I'm an emotional eater in the sense that when I'm really excited, I want to eat. Whenever I'm tired, I want to eat. All these times that have nothing to do with any kind of a sensation of wanting to nourish my body. So it's a long, long answer for how I deal with the cravings. But yeah, I've really learned how to sit in my feelings and let them pass by and learn that it's not about food. It's really about something else.
I agree 100%. And, and even still, sometimes though, like I know like pasta or, like potatoes are going to be higher caloric density, but sometimes I just need a pasta hug,
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
but I know now how to make it so that it's not going to be, hurting me in terms of health. I know how to make like a cheese sauce, but sometimes you
Right.
need that little pasta hug,
Oh,
that
yeah, absolutely. Same with desserts. I'm a big dessert person, a plant-based dessert person, no preservatives or anything, and like nice cream, right? Bananas and a little bit of maybe maple syrup or whatever, and that just hits the spot when I have a craving.
right.
Sometimes if, when I just want to eat something, I'm able to, which is a fantastic part of this, that you can eat those things and it's not gonna, no guilt, and it's not gonna hurt your body and all those other things.
You have the freedom to eat. There's nothing that I cannot eat in my house. I have the freedom to eat.
Yes,
And that
yes.
is huge. That is
So
so,
big.
yeah. My favorite is popsicles. I make popsicles. And the
Oh,
popsicles are, I buy these molds on Amazon, and these little molds, only hold like 3/4 of a cup.
oh,
But
wow.
because it's frozen, it feels like it takes longer to eat, number one. And number two, it just feels like it's a treat, a lot
Mhm.
more than say, because if I make nice cream, I'm making a lot, and I have a big bowl of it. So at least this way I have a little bit of portion control because the popsicles are there. And if I want a second popsicle, I'll have a second popsicle.
Mhm.
It's like it's a small amount. So, it makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm having a second one.
Yeah, yeah, good,
It's like,
good.
ooh, I'm pushing
Same
the
thing with the, chickpeas, I'll pan fry those chickpeas with lots of different seasoning, and I realized that there's this hand to mouth motion, like with other foods, and I can satiate that by eating a chickpea, which,
egg.
20 years ago, no, somebody said, "Hey, you're gonna be eating chickpeas during a movie." I'm like, "I don't think so." But yeah,
And you fill up very quickly because chickpeas are really filling.
exactly.
That fiber, boy.
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
what are you most proud of?
I am most proud of, first of all, taking control, knowing that I can take control of my own destiny, reversing that diabetes. That was really scary for me. Knowing that, trusting myself. When you gain weight and you're in this place of shame and all of those things, you start to realize that you can't see through on something, and I think I used to feel like I can't do something from beginning to end because I'm constantly failing at a diet, right? So I think that seeps into other aspects of your life. And when I was able to take control of the way that I eat and take back the control of being able to regain my health, then I started to see that I'm able to trust myself and know that I can actually see through to the end of something, which just seeps out to other aspects of my life. Whatever it is that I want to do, I know that I can. The other thing that I'm very proud of is that other people have started to seek out what they're seeing about me. And it's just, I can't explain to you the feeling I have when I help somebody else that's going through this. It's just so important to me. I have a particular person in mind that just turned 75. She was in such a hard place. She was wearing an oxygen mask, was immobile, could not get around without her wheelchair. And I remember just speaking to her. She's just a friend. She's the mother of a friend of mine. And they just said she saw an interview similar to this one on the exam room. She said she saw it and she thought, if she can do it, me, then she can also probably handle it as well. And I just meet with her once a week, talk to her, and she is now off oxygen. They came and picked up her tank. She's off half of her medications completely, and they've lowered the other ones. And she's taking, and she always, her goal was to go onto the beach with her family. And she sent me a picture of her from the backside where she's walked up this sand dune alone, unassisted, without oxygen, without any help. And then the next picture was of her standing with her daughter, her son-in-law, and holding her grandchild. And it's just like, that's what this is all about. So yeah, second thing I'm most important and to me is being able to help other people just through example.
Right? Oh, that is so true.
True.
Because when you help other people and you see them start to change and they feel better and they have more energy, or they've got enough oxygen and they're able to walk to the beach. Oh my God.
Just with plants. Just plants.
Yeah, just by changing what you're eating.
Yep.
Most people can't wrap their head around it, or
No.
well, I could never do that. And it's like, okay, until you try, you don't know.
Yeah, I would ask, just try it. Just try it. I do understand that, because I don't think if I wasn't so sick that I wouldn't have, and if I didn't know this information or have it, I may not have tried it. But when you have somebody who learns about it but thinks, oh, I can't do it, I won't do it, it's too hard, my family won't get on board, all of these things that I understand completely. But I think, gosh, just try it. Give it 21 days, 3 weeks, try it, and it'll change your life.
It's so true. Well, what was the most difficult obstacle you faced going plant-based?
I think they're different between the beginning and now, the sustained part. I think the sustained part that's difficult as far as the challenges within my eating, I eat a very low healthy fat, right? I mean, it's, people, not all things are created equal. So I can't eat tons of avocados or nuts and seeds or nut butters, things like that. And that's difficult when I'm implementing that into a diet. But I think the biggest challenge when I first started was knowing that, not knowing how to cook this way, not cooking with oils. There's a learning curve. I guess that's my point. I would think that something that people need to understand is there is a learning curve in trying to change the way that you cook and you eat. And it's really important to educate yourself and continue to educate yourself. Find a community that thinks the way that you do. Read books, watch documentaries, take classes, and anything that you have to do to avoid feeling alone or confused. And there's also just variations out there on how to eat, what to eat, things like that. And so I guess I'm going back on what you're saying. The thing that I probably was most difficult is when I first got into thinking about this, I had to pick a lane, so to say, on how I was going to eat within the plant-based requirements, and that I would take that one lane, follow that research, follow it all the way out, see if it works, allow yourself to be a little bit curious. And if you find that there's something you need to tweak a little bit, then, give yourself some space and some love to be able to learn about this.
I really love how you said to find a community, because it's so important, because you're going to feel like you're the lone stranger out there.
Yes. Yeah.
And your family's looking at you like what are you doing? You're okay, another fad diet, thing. And you're not getting support on so many levels.
Yeah.
And it just really makes it difficult. And I have to say, on those parts, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started the Plant-Based Academy, was because I provide a support group. We meet weekly, once a week, online. And I provide recipes and cooking videos and help and tips and tricks and things that I've learned along the way of how to make this easier. And you're not going to know that, until you're like 10 years in.
Yeah.
No, that's a good tip. That's a good kitchen hack, and just things like that. but providing that support is mission critical in terms of success, without question. And I have to say, I mean, and even just like here, I just moved up to Cape Cod, and I started a potluck group, locally.
Yeah.
And, in the beginning, we had just one or two people. Okay, fine, but now it's building up, and I'm connecting with other people that are plant-based in the area. And we're finding restaurants that will, modify what they do and be open to it. So I can send people here. And this was the score. I had one that was in Provincetown, which is 4 or 5 towns away from me, say, I heard about you. I'd like to get on, your list of restaurants to send out to your people. And I'm like, woo, wow, how awesome is that? That people are starting to hear about it. And so it's just, you could start in a church, or church group, things like that, wherever you're connected with, so it's awesome, especially when you can connect with like-minded people and you don't have to explain yourself. You don't.
So true. So true. It's kind of like other areas of a person's life where, whether it's their faith or, whatever it can be, something like that. And it's kind of like you need to be with a group of people that can almost finish your sentences, or you don't have to go through the whole backstory of, I want this dessert, but it has to be this and this and this, and it can't be this and that. You can say, I'm looking for a dessert, and they understand and know, hey, have you tried this or this? Or just like you're saying, to reiterate that. I think it's so wonderful just to have a community of people that also, know the good and the bad. And, holidays coming up, or you need some kind of a birthday cake, or you want to go out to dinner, and it's hard to find a place where you want to go to dinner. And then other people are like, how are you going to eat out? And you're like, you can eat out. You just need, so then I can just ask a group of people, hey, where have you gone for Chinese food or whatever? And so helpful to have people.
100%. 100%. I'm just thinking back to, you said you had these cysts in your brain. Yes. I'm just wondering if in going plant-based and losing this weight, if that's going to have an impact on that.
Yeah, I would love to know. Now it's been a year. I did have my second MRI. I have one once a year, and it has not changed. Nothing has changed, which is great because usually there's growth. So I don't know if this is the variable that has changed that, but I do have some doctors. Some of my surgical team is like, yeah, we're going to watch that. They're very interested in that. They're from Johns Hopkins, and they're big on learning things and taking in ideas. So I'll definitely let you know as time goes by. If by now I would have normally had some growth in that area, but there's nothing. There's no growth. Yeah. How crazy.
Wouldn't that be nice not to have any more surgeries?
Oh, nice. Yes. I'd like to keep my hair the way it is and not have it shaved.
New hairstyle. Yeah. Well, how long did it take you to convert? Was it gradual, or you're like, today's the day?
It was overnight, 100% overnight. I knew how this helped other people. And as crazy as it sounds, my husband and I would say, if we ever get really sick, this is how we're going to eat, which is silly. If you think about it, you should have done it as you learned it and never get sick, right? But because I had the knowledge, basic knowledge, that this was a wonderful healing way to eat and sustainable, then I did absolutely overnight. I mean, I had that Wendy's meal, found out that I had diabetes, and immediately, I think for about 3 days, because I couldn't get everything in line to talk to the doctors I needed to on a Barnard website, things like that. I think I ate carrots for 3 days because I was terrified of eating anything else. But then as soon as I got plugged in with my nutritionist and things like that, they said, hey, have at it, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, anything you want, eat it all. Don't worry about it. And oh my goodness, yeah, overnight. And I know some people don't do it that way, and I understand that, but it was, I think, an easier transition. My son is still dabbling in this, and I see that that's a struggle for him. My husband and my daughter, immediately with me to support me, did it overnight as well. And my daughter had been junk food vegan for about a year prior, but had gained weight because she was eating a lot of the produced vegan foods. And then as soon as this happened, everything turned around for her as well. So it was really a wonderful ability to see all different people in my family eating different ways, and the ones that have followed suit with this and all of their health journey as well.
Well, one of the best ways to get your son on board fully is to get him in the kitchen cooking.
That's what we've been doing. Yeah.
Oh,
So we
awesome.
just helped him with the Alfredo that he loves, the chicken Alfredo, and now he's doing it with cauliflower and, just getting it right. And I'm also trying to get him on board by loving him with the desserts, because, that's how you get to somebody's heart in the beginning, and he loves the desserts.
Yeah, right? No, for sure. Well, walk us through a day of food, what that's like for you.
Sure. Let's see. Today it's still the morning a little bit. So I'm really into soy curls right now. So I made, let's see, for dinner, I made a steamed broccoli, soy curl, kind of beef and broccoli, not really beef, but the soy. And I usually prep in the beginning of the week for the whole week, so that there's always something in the refrigerator to grab, so that I don't get into a place where I'm, freaking out about food. So I made all of the macaroni or anything like that's whole wheat. So I have some elbow macaroni with black beans and vegetables with a ranch style dressing. Anytime I say those words, they're plant based. But so I get a big batch of that, and we have like a salsa corn bean kind of mixed together, lots of vegetables and rices. And so we kind of throw all that into a bowl type thing. In the morning, have a lot of oatmeal mixed with sweet potatoes, which is, I love that. Maybe it sounds weird, but it's great. And sometimes we have some avocado toast. And I made some hash browns this morning, or, you just boil some really tiny potatoes, cut those all up with some onions and whatever you have that you like, spices. And yeah, that's a day. I should say a day.
Okay. Well, what are some of your favorite dishes?
My favorite dishes, I think, like I mentioned, oatmeal with sweet potatoes are really good. I also make some quesadillas with all of those leftover things I just told you that are in the refrigerator, kind of throw them together. I like to keep things simple. And we use, again, sweet potatoes and hummus on those quesadillas. I have kind of a mock sweet greens. The restaurant has like a spicy cashew dressing, and I don't use any oil in that. We put that all over everything. Um, the nice cream, as I had mentioned, I love that. We have a squash cake. I make a cake with zucchini squash. That's just so good, with the date like paste that we use on that. I don't know. My goodness, there's so much. The variety is so
Right?
expansive, which I didn't have before when I had any kind of routine with food. The rotations of food that we have here is just endless, endless, endless things that we can eat. Yeah,
I know. Absolutely. 100%. I mean, I eat more variety now than I ever did.
absolutely.
So, well, what are three things that someone can do to help start this journey?
I would like, let's see, I would say that it is a learning curve, and to accept that it's a learning curve. Someone told me in this community in the beginning that if I would expect that 3 meals out of 3 meals, 2 are going to just be horrible, and to learn to toss them out until I'm learning, that was a hard thing, because wasting food is a difficult thing. A lot of messages not to do that, but I did do that. So it was a time consuming in the beginning thing to do. So I would find foods that were easy and simple, like a can of black beans, rinse off the sodium, things like that. But I think it's a learning curve. I think that you have to educate yourself continually, read books, watch documentaries, talk to people, go on webinars, whatever is easiest for you on learning, because some people don't enjoy reading books. I happen to, so I just read tons of books. Finding a community is so important, and we had mentioned, and avoiding feeling confused or alone, and anything you have to do to not have that happen. And also, I would say that in the very, very beginning, give your taste buds about 21 days 3 weeks, just allow you to just be 100% in and let your taste buds change, and start to appreciate this kind of food rather than the foods that you've eaten before.
100%.
Mm.
Well, and I'm just going to throw a plug in from the National Health Association. They, and the website is healthscience.org. They have been promoting a whole food plant-based SOS since 1948.
Wow.
Who knew?
Yeah, I did
And
not know.
yeah, and they
Mm.
have annual conferences in June. It's like, it's the best conference I've ever been to, ever, ever, ever. And I just love it. It is by far, I will never miss the conference. And it's being in that group of people that are like-minded. The food, oh my God, is exquisite. And the speakers, I mean, just it's 2.5 days of intense, at the end of the by Sunday, you're like, I can't handle, no,
Wow.
I can't handle anymore, because it's like cutting edge. It's all the, most recent, research and everything else that, cutting edge data. So, and they have trips throughout the year that
Oh,
it's
great.
all, like if you wanted to travel, you're traveling with other people that are plant-based and they're serving food that's plant-based. So it's phenomenal. So,
Yeah,
and there's a lot of
apparently
resources.
yeah, apparently there's and I sorry, I don't have the information. It just jogged my memory that there's a cruise that you can go on, and
Yes.
it's all plant-based. So that even that, some people think, how am I going to eat? Because it's kind of paralyzing in the beginning
Right.
to think, oh my gosh, how am I going to go to dinner? What do I do when I go to somebody else's house? But after a little while, you learn to calm down and understand that you really can't. There's nothing you can't do by
Exactly.
eating this way, and you can do more because you're healthy and you're happy and all of those things.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much for taking time to share
You're
with us your
very
journey.
welcome. Yeah, absolutely.